Jill was clutching at her chest as the pain began to come back. With labored, painful breath, she observed the displays. It had been a torturous 4 hours since the jump into FTL. Almost there, she thought. "Hold on!" yelled Hank over the deafening whine of the wormhole drive. "You're going to be fine." Boom! The ship groaned and slowed as it came back into real space. Jill was deafened and thrown into her restraining harness by the whiplash of the deceleration, pushing against her shattered rib and making her yelp in pain. "Daniels, get on a line with Congress," barked Jill through gritted teeth, "and get us to a hospital stat." "Yes, ma'am," Daniels replied, tugging on the control stick and banking hard right. "Nearest hospital is in orbit above Neptune, ETA 10 minutes. Patching into Congress now." Thank God for FTL, though, Jill thought. That might be what put us into this mess in the first place. FTL travel, anyway, communication was trivial in comparison. All you need for FTL communication is to be able to detect one of the countless micro-wormholes caused by pockets of dark energy. These were everywhere, and so data was transferred through one with an extra burst of energy, allowing it to emerge from the wormhole at its required destination. Then any normal radio dish could pick up the signal and communicate with the sender in almost real time, the average delay being roughly 1.5 seconds each way, no matter the distance. The sound of static reverberated through the spacious bridge, slowly tuning and patching into a video call of every single congressman and congresswoman in a large, domed chamber. The grand halls of Earth's great Congress, an assembly of representatives for every single one of humanity's colonies. In the center of the screen was Vice President Barry Willis, running mate and good friend of Jill's. "So how'd it go?" asked Barry with a toothy grin and strong Southern accent, his one biological eye gleaming with excitement. Then he and the rest of the Congress saw the condition of Jill and her crew. Countless cuts and scrapes littered their bodies thanks to the very fast and unceremonious scramble out of harm's way. Jill's mouth and nose were leaking blood, and everyone looked like they were very shaken up. "What the hell happened?" Barry asked with a much less excited tone, the grin on his face gone, his mechanical eye turning red, his face contorting with barely contained anger. "Not well," Jill sputtered as she began coughing up blood. "Aliens tried to blow us up while we were leaving. Enemy ships might not be far behind. En route to Neptune Medical Center as we speak." "I'll send the Jupiter garrison to assist. What caused this?" Barry demanded. He was seeing red and couldn't believe the audacity of an alien species attacking the president of all people. "Aliens fear us to the point of hatred. They were readying a strike force to attack Earth before we got there," Jill replied, exhausted from having to talk so much. "I'm sending you all the data we were able to collect and all the info we gathered from our short time there." After about 3 seconds, Barry nodded and said, "Got it. Also says there was a hack by the aliens. What did we lose?" "The locations of every human colony, several pieces of weapons technology, and many cultural details," said Daniels. "They could attack anywhere." Congress erupted into an incoherent babble of whispers and general chaos. Barry didn't even try to restore order, muttering a single word: "Shit." After multiple minutes of frantic discussion, calls back to home systems, and a full military alert issued, Jill broke through the chaos once again. "Make sure all of the defense stations are ready to go all across the Republic. Make sure the public on your worlds are informed. As of today, there is a new emergency measure." Jill paused, making sure everyone would hear the last part. "All restrictions on personal space-bound weaponry are lifted until further notice. Companies can now sell everything but weapons of mass destruction to the civilian market." With this, Congress erupted into an incoherent mess of cheering and boos, but by the time Jill reached the hospital, every representative had relayed the news of hostile space plants and the fact civilians could own military autocannons. Needless to say, it was a good day for the Mars Manufacturing Group. "Good luck, Jill. Hopefully you can get back in commission very soon," Barry said. "I'll keep you updated on the news from here." "Thanks, Barry," she coughed. "Representatives, make sure the people are ready to fight. Begin standard mobilization of reserve troops." With that, she shut down communications with Congress, and her ship docked with the Neptune General Hospital.
Kutan. Things in the past 4 hours have been hell. First, it came to be known that the humans survived the explosion. Second, the populace of pacifists had no will to fight, especially against an enemy rumored to be so absolutely despicable as to slaughter millions of their own people. Third, the humans eat plants, lots of plants. Soldiers don't want to fight an enemy that towers over them, and has also begun to refer to the many plant species as space lettuce. She couldn't blame them. Who would want to fight knowing that their body might be picked up off the floor and served in a sandwich? Q-Tan had 3 minutes to dispel everyone's fears and also whip the populace into a frenzy. How? Through lies, scare tactics, and sprinkled in small amounts, the cold, hard truth. That speech was about to begin, but her fibrous legs and arms, along with their digits, hadn't stopped shaking ever since the impromptu plan to take human intelligence and kill them before they could warn the others failed. "Head counselor, it's time," said one of the numerous aides by her side. She couldn't recall his name. She swallowed her fear and steeled her nerves. Showtime, she thought. She willed her 4 legs to propel her forward. In a rapid scurry and flailing of movement, she entered the stage and walked up a ramp to where a microphone was sitting. She stretched her 4 arms, 2 near her 5 forward and side-facing eyes, 2 on the middle of her body, cleared her vocal tube, and began to talk. "Citizens of the Galactic Council, today is a truly tragic day. I understand many of you are afraid, many against the notion of war. I want to explain the importance of it to each and every one of you. Today we were attacked. A single ship took down a station to gauge our defenses and then report back to Earth. This is the same Earth where millions of humans were killed. By other humans." Q-Tan scoured her eyes over the crowd to gauge their reactions. Audible gasps and horror filled their faces. This is going great, she thought. If that is what they do to their own, imagine what they will do to us, you, and your families. They consume biological matter. Now imagine a future of endless cultivation, harvest, and eventual slaughter for every single race of this great council. War may be horrible, it may be against our values, but it is necessary. Never in our history has such an enemy reared its ugly head. Q-Tan once again paused, using silence as a weapon to allow the horror of what she just said to dawn on everyone. "Do not lose hope. Our fleets are strong, technology sound, weapons armed and ready. Cast your doubts aside. Replace them with honor-bound duty in the face of evil. Let us go into the stars and cast down not just our doubts, but our enemies alongside them." The crowd went wild, cheering, making noise, and celebrating their imminent victory. Q-Tan's wildest dreams of success were far exceeded. The humans would have the war they so dearly love. Q-Tan would have the militarists she so lacked for as long as she could remember.
Jill. The state of politics in the Human Space Coalition was, to say the least, a shit show. The discovery of what the human populace was lovingly calling space lettuce was one thing. The legalization of military weapons was a whole other situation. For the past hour, the news hasn't cared about hostile plants in outer space. No, they're concerned about the new laws coming out of it. Jill let reason triumph over her pain medication. Of course, that would be talked about. It was a contentious issue for the past decade. Should civilians have access to military hardware? Up until now, Jill didn't see any reason for it. Trade routes were well protected and piracy was rare. Political opponents, however, said that while rare, piracy is still out there. All of this debate was thrown into a whole different context when hostile aliens were involved. To Jill, it was a no-brainer. She had almost lost her life at the hands of these aliens and saw firsthand one of what would obviously be many more armadas preparing to come to Earth. Some, however, were accusing Jill of being paid off by the Mars Manufacturing Group, MMG, and were against the decision based upon that assumption. The internet was no better, debates raged, and Jill was in absolute agony. No longer affected by the pain, doctors took care of the shattered rib and gave her plenty of painkillers. She was just out of commission due to the effects the drugs would have on her judgment. She wanted to be at the helm of her ship, steering it through the treacherous waters ahead, constantly informed of the dangers needing to be avoided. For now, though, all she could do was listen to the TV over the hum of the cold and oppressive fluorescent lights. "Need anything?" asked Hank. "I know you aren't having the time of your life in there." Another water would be nice, Jill replied, and Hank walked away briskly. She listened to his footsteps going away for a moment until her thoughts were rudely interrupted by a loud beeping sound. It was Barry to inform her of new developments. He had a frantic look in his eyes. This couldn't be good, she thought to herself. Alien ships have been detected in at least 5 different systems. Frontier, Harmony, Sirius, TRAPPIST-1, and Proxima Centauri all have 40 contacts each. "Call an emergency meeting of the Congress," she replied. "Doctor, I need the painkillers purged from my system," Jill yelled, right as Hank walked back into the room with a new glass of water. "Still want the water?" asked Hank timidly, his eyes locked on the frantic nature of the screen in front of Jill. "Yes, thanks, Hank," Jill said while grabbing the water and taking a long drink. "Get the doctor in here. I need to be able to think straight for this." "Yes, ma'am," he replied. "Show me what's going on," Jill said to Barry. It was about time the aliens would show themselves.
Admiral Westman. All right, people, get comms and defense batteries online across the colonies. I need live feeds from Frontier, Harmony, Sirius, TRAPPIST-1, and Proxima Centauri. Get a TAC map up and running ASAP. "Yes, sir," replied the War Room technicians in unison. Deep below the crust of Earth was the War Room command center of the Human Space Coalition. Buried in a mile of concrete, reinforced with tungsten-titanium alloy, it was impervious to all but the most powerful ground attack. From here, Earth's Admiralty could oversee battles in any part of space and respond in near real time to give orders and win battles. This battle, however, spanned many of the systems closest to Earth, an obvious attempt to cut us off from crucial supply systems. Admiral TAC map online. Positions are accurate as of 1.5 seconds ago. A map showing the locations of ships, hostile and friendly, lit up on a large table in the middle of the room. It showed holographic outlines of planet ships, civilians, and stars for each of the 5 systems. Overall, there were 40 hostile ships in each system. The defenses of the human systems varied wildly. Sirius, home of Sirius shipbuilders, obviously had the most defended system. The human 10th Defense Fleet, called Sirius Home, comprised of 10 carriers, 20 battleships, 40 cruisers, 50 destroyers, and 100 corvettes. On top of the numerous lightly armed civilian spacecraft, Sirius would be a tough nut to crack. Proxima Centauri, being the first colonized system other than Sol, was also well defended. With well over 200 billion human inhabitants, it was well protected by militia, as well as the Proxima Fleet. The Proxima Fleet was a little under half the size of the 10th Fleet, still a formidable force. TRAPPIST-1 had the most population of any of the listed worlds, with a little under 1 trillion humans scattered over its 2 very habitable planets. The militia alone numbered in the tens of thousands of ships. The defense fleet was not lacking either, 100 capital ships in total. Frontier and Harmony, however, were pitifully underprotected, each with only 1 billion humans. The brunt of military and militia force was away. The only defense these systems had was the miners in the outer regions of the systems. "Understood. Get me comms with the lead captain of each defense force. Give me intel on the capabilities of their ships," barked the admiral. He was a gruff and strong man with a long history of space combat. He wanted to keep his troops alive. Static filled the room for a short time. Eventually, 5 commanders' holograms were shown alongside their fleets. Admiral Smith led the 10th Defense Fleet, Admiral Oda with his Proxima Defense Fleet, Admiral Krieger of the TRAPPIST First, Captain Bob Smith of the Frontier Mining Corps, and Captain Will Baker from the Harmony Mining Union. The men stood at attention, waiting for orders and guidance from FleetCom back on Earth. "Good day, gentlemen, let's get to work," said Admiral Westman.